Remember, knowledge, it ain't free. You got to pay attention and don't believe the hype. Ciao tutti. We're back. Another episode of Past the Wire TV. We're going to start with a little Kentucky Derby radar. We're going to preview an exciting Arkansas Derby. We're going to preview an exciting Florida Derby. And then we'll call it a wrap. Maybe get the whole thing done in, I don't know, 30 minutes would be nice. Give or take a few. Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you all for the support. Much appreciated. If you enjoy the shows, please hit the like button. Helps with the YouTube algorithms, helps with the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's a lot you could miss, and you don't want to miss a thing. We got everything you want to hear, probably not much that you don't want to hear. So, Kentucky Derby radar. Not a lot has changed on my list at all. But the funny thing is now, and you know, it just kind of worked out that way. Everybody's got journalism at number one. We had him, or I should say, I had him in October. First time I seen him, had Derby written all over him. Interesting, but a Derby winner doesn't automatically equate to a Belmont winner. But I'll go on record saying this. And, there are a lot of horses over the years that, closed ground in the Derby, skipped the Preakness, and everybody loved them in the Belmont. And that doesn't automatically equate to a Belmont winner. But journalism, the first time I saw him, and every time since then, he's looked to me like a Derby type horse and a horse that could move early enough and at the right time to be a Belmont type horse. And he's a son of Curlin, reminds me a lot of Curlin. So he's absolutely still number one. Sovereignty, who we're going to see in the Florida Derby, albeit without Junior Alvarado, who suffered an injury at I guess, a bad time, but could have been a worse time. Hopefully he's back for the Derby and aboard his horse. But we never know how those things go. This is the time of year in the weeks up to the Derby that there's a lot of musical chairs with jockeys. And I've said this in articles in the past, and I've said it on shows in the past, and I'll reiterate it now for those that might not know or those that might not think it's true, because it is true and it's a fact. The Derby is probably the one race and the one time a year that riders, regardless of allegiances to different barns, will take the shot with the horse they think gives them the best chance to win the Derby. And trainers will usually forgive that, whereas they normally might not. Uh, you know, Everybody knows everybody wants to win the Derby, so a trainer is more likely to not take it personal if you jump off their horse, if they've been riding you a lot, uh, because you think that there's a better one, and they're not always right. You know, Bill Shoemaker had the choice to ride Hill Rise or Northern Dancer. We know the story. So, you know, riders aren't always right. Nobody's always right in this game. Horses humble everybody. Remember that. So, that said, uh, not a lot has changed. Fiztastic ran big. Uh, Not big enough to get on my list. I think he kind of fired his shot that day. I don't necessarily like him coming back in the Kentucky Derby. Although Steve's one of those guys, you kind of throw him out at your own peril because he could always jump up and run. But the Louisiana Derby to me was a disappointing race for a number of different reasons. And I don't think we saw the Derby winner win it. Uh, so we'll see what happens with everybody coming out of it and see if I'm right. But that was that. Now we did see in the Philly race, Good Cheer cement herself as the Oaks favorite. And I will, remind everybody of this. Another thing that I've said many, 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 many times, and it's a fact, and it's a big mistake that handicappers make. Horses are not machines. Most people handicap a race and they read the top line down and they expect horses to do exactly what they've done before. And yes, we are a game based on past performances. I get that. But you have to read from the bottom up, recognize the patterns, recognize the trends, and try and handicap and project for what a horse is going to do, not what he's done. Because if it was easy as what they've done, I wouldn't be doing this from my backyard in Florida or off the Gulf of America. I'd be doing it off, you know, a glass bottomed houseboat off the coast of Fiji or something like that. So, or maybe a yacht off the coast of Monaco. I don't know, but it's not that easy. They don't continually do the same thing over and over and over again. Now she was monstrous. She came wide, big move, no knock, but there's no guarantee that she's going to bring that same dance again uh, on the first Friday in May to the Kentucky Oaks. And I'm not ready to crown her the winner yet. She's beaten up on some soft fields that she's better than. Uh, I'm not saying she's not the winner. I'm just saying she ain't getting the trophy now. She's got to earn it on the first Friday in May, as do all the horses. Now there are a couple of horses running this week, and we'll talk more weekend, Saturday specifically. We'll talk more about them when we look at the two races uh, that can easily make their way on my Kentucky Derby radar. Right now, like I said, I got journalism, I got Serenity, I've got the two Chad horses that I haven't given up on, Chance and McPatrick, and what is it, Hill Road. Uh, Both to me of those two Chad horses look like they're extremely eligible to go forward. Uh, and one of them, Cornucopian, who I thought might run back in the Arkansas Derby, has now been entered in the Arkansas Derby, and we'll get to him when we talk about the Arkansas Derby. So, with that, a lot has not changed on my Derby radar. My list is not that long this year. Uh, and as far as journalism turning out to be everybody's horse right now, including a few kiss of deaths out there and mushes, I ain't worried about that shit because let me tell you, you could win and they could lose with the same horse. They missed the pick four, they missed the pick five, they missed the exacta, they missed the triple. There's a million ways to lose a horse race. One way to win it. The other thing I will say is this: um, it stinks to wind up on who's going to likely be the favorite for the Kentucky Derby. I get that, okay, but you never know. Journalism doesn't have to win his next start. He may get an educational, uh, move forward off of type of race, and some people may jump off his bandwagon. You just never know, especially if one of these other lightly raced horses runs a monster race leading in there. So maybe he's the second or third choice. Maybe he's the favorite, but doesn't matter. Even if he's the chalk in the Derby's what, 3-1, 7-2, 5-2, 4-1, well, whatever the case may be. There's always value to be had on Derby Day, so I'm not worried about that. If he's a single, there's all different ways to create value. We'll get to that, and we'll talk a lot about that when we know where we land. And those of you that want to know that, grab your seat to our Kentucky Derby seminar. You can grab it on PassTheWire.com. We'll put a link to it in the video here. All the information is there. Join us. We're going to try and make this the best one yet. So, short list, that's always a good sign. Going to try and nail that winner. Going to take some swings, go after some, major scores. And, the beautiful thing about that race and that day is you only got to be right once and you got to know how to make it count. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to try and do. That's what we're going to talk about on the seminar, along with the other stake races that we go into and the Oaks and whatnot. So hopefully we'll see most of you there. But to the matters at hand, we're going to move to, I guess we'll do the Arkansas Derby first, then we'll move to the Florida Derby, and we'll wrap it up. So stay tuned, and I will return very shortly.
Over 150 years, the Kentucky Derby has stood as the most enduring tradition in American sports. And in our time, one stallion is reshaping its legacy. Back-to-back Derby winners. His first son at stud siring another. A dynasty in motion. A motion that again has forward momentum toward Louisville, with another elite crop of 3-year-olds bearing his genes. Spendthrift Farm, home of Into Mischief.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
For some, they say it's the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. For us, it's about potential financial opportunities. Never bring a knife to a gunfight, and make no mistake, big money is up for grabs, and this is a fight. Never settle for second best. The Past the Wire annual Kentucky Derby seminar. Nobody does it better. Preparation is key. Be better prepared, delve deeper, stealth. They won't see us coming and they won't know we're there. Money management, ticket structure, pace, all the intangibles, thoroughgraph, everything that matters to make it count, to have that edge. In the end, if things go as planned, it'll be like we stole the money. Never think about the consequences if it tastes good. There's a lot of ways to handicap a horse race and a lot of ways to bet on it. But nobody that I know does it like Gio Stettin and his full card, precise order handicap. Every horse in the race gets a predicted order of finish like only Gio can do, way beyond a deep dive, available exclusively on select days at Past the Wire. This is important, so you're going to want to remember it. If you're a cat and you want to become a lion, you're going to have to lose your taste for rats. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. Now comes the fun part. We try and dissect the Arkansas Derby and then the Florida Derby. I know Gio is doing his deep dive on the Florida Derby card and also doing a show on I believe the Arkansas Derby, and I know Charles will be doing a show on both of those as well. So we'll have plenty of content to check out on the YouTube channel, and Gio's report will be on Past the Wire. So with that, we'll get right into my thoughts on the Arkansas Derby and see what we think, why we think it, and I don't think that I'm going to overthink it, but you never know. Let's see. From the rail, first off, let's say this is a full 1 1/8 race. It's got a nice run down that stretch. Not a short stretch, early finish line type of race at all. It's full 1 1/8, around that oval, down that stretch the first time. So you got a nice little run to that first turn. And I think that's going to help the horse that I think is going to win the race. So we'll talk about it. Berriton's Baytown on the rail looks a little slow for these to me. Looks like he's in deep water. He passed some tired horses maybe in the Rebel after running for 40,000, winning at Laurel in the mud, won at Charlestown in the slop. Those are his only two main track dirt, wins on an off track. To me, he looks in deep waters and over his head, and is a cut below a couple of these. Be a major surprise in my opinion. First division, Ken McPeak. Ken McPeak's always dangerous. He ran this horse in an optional claimer for 100,000, but he was not eligible to be claimed first time out, and nobody's going to claim him first time out for 100 grand anyway. But he didn't want to take no chances. He won at Oaklawn Park, coming off the pace with Julian LePeroux. Next time out, he stretches out. He doesn't have the exact same closing kick, but he does have a decent closing kick and ran okay. Moved forward. Couldn't get the job done, but respectable race. Went forward, off the sprint, stretching out, closes. I always like when they show some kick, and had a little bit more of a kick when they ran him long again at Oaklawn Park. Come up a little bit short to a horse who's running back in this race, but he's in Omaha Beach. He's improving. He goes from Leperoux to Brian Hernandez, who it'd be tough to argue is not Ken McPeak's main guy. I mean, last year, what did he win? The Oaks and Derby for the guy. So you got to say that him and McPeak are kind of an item right now. And, I think this horse is definitely a I got no morning lines here, but I think he's going to be a price. I think he's eligible to go forward. I think he's eligible to run another good race. And I think he's one of the ones that's going to be running late and has a very good shot of getting into the number. I don't like him for the win, but I do think he can run second or third relatively easily. Publisher puts blinkers on. This is a horse that I liked a lot last time, and he just didn't do it. I don't think the trip was that bad. Was it ideal? No. Are the blinkers going to help? Maybe. I don't really want to see him change his running style, but I really liked him a lot at 11-1 last time out. Just didn't get it done. Major disappointment. And, he's looking to redeem himself. Is he going to do it? I don't know. He's another one to me. Looks like he could get a piece, but I liked him last time. I don't necessarily want to come back with him here because I like somebody better. Best Friend Rocket has some pace. I don't think he's the speed of the race by any means, but has some pace. Lucas always can pop up and win when you don't expect it. This is one of those times I don't expect it. He does come off a nice win over the track, off the layoff. I'm not so sure he goes forward off that race. May regress a little bit. Looked like he ran hard. Long stretch battle. I'm going to pass. Speed King didn't get out in the Rebel at all. I don't know how much by design that was. First time out, he ran fast. The other two races, he ran good. In the Springboard Mile and the Southwest, he ran good, but not what I would say particularly fast. I'm not a buyer's guy. I'm more of a thoroughgraph guy. And I like to just look at the raw fractions and the track variant as well. I don't think he gets the lead here, and I don't know how much damage he's going to be able to do if he's one chasing as opposed to one leading. So I don't really like Speed King, and I don't know that he's fast enough to soften up the horse that I do think is going to win. Sandman, a lot of people loved him in the Rebel. He was closing, could be closing again. I don't think gets the ideal pace set up. Does get a jockey switch from Christian Torres, who I don't really think he did anything wrong, but he gets booted for Jose Ortiz, who lately at the fairgrounds has been doing everything right. And when it comes this time of year, we talked earlier about the musical jockeys and how everybody goes for, who they think gives them their best shot. And that's on both sides, trainer side and rider side. Very little loyalty in horse racing, and less so when it comes to the Kentucky Derby. Everybody does what's good for them. And everything else is collateral damage. Oh, well, suck it up and get over it. And it's just that way in a lot of aspects of life for a lot of different people. I'm not one of them, but that's just me. Sandman, again, probably brings it, probably comes and, tries to get a piece, but I don't think gets the winner's trophy. Monet's Magic looks a little over his head here to me. Hasn't raced since January 25th. Lost to Southwest to, a couple of these horses. Didn't have the best of trips. Tistastic was in that race too, ran third. We know he won the Louisiana Derby. So he does come out of a good race. He does have a win over the track, actually, in the mud. Got a win at Churchill. Probably be ahead of the deep closes and sitting in a decent spot to win. He's a good Magic. He's not hopeless in my opinion, but he's not somebody I land on. Cold Battle, the Rebel winner, great story. Might be the favorite. I don't know. There's no morning line. I don't try and predict what people are going to do, let alone bettors. Maybe he won't be. Maybe they'll go to Bob's horse, but I don't think he's fast enough to run with Bob's horse early. Should get a good trip. Likes to win. Was he on 4 in a row? 2 for 2 over the track. 5 for 7 lifetime. I can't knock anybody that likes him, but again, they're not machines, and not sold. Not sold on Cold Battle. Great story. I get it. A lot of fans. I get it. Not sold. Cornucopian. I think he's going to be very, very, very tough to beat. I don't care if he's the favorite or if he's not. I don't care if he ran once or 100 times because, like it says on the screen, you can't beat what you can't catch. And, the Derby is a different kind of race now. Horse racing has changed a lot. You got, horses like Mage, Justify. They win off only very few starts. You don't need that bottom that you used to need, a dozen starts to win the Kentucky Derby, a certain dosage index to win the Kentucky Derby. There's a lot of you that never probably even heard of the freaking dosage index. Used to be like, forget about it. You couldn't even bet a horse didn't have the dosage to win the Derby. They used to put a whole big write-up in a racing form all about it. Now you don't even see it. But that said, Bob comes back off suspension, wins the Preakness with National Treasure a couple of years ago. Now he sent Barnes to Churchill Downs in his first race back. He won. Barnes might be a Derby contender, but he runs this horse in Arkansas back on February 23rd when they ran the other stake, and he smokes him. He goes 109 flat, 21:45 on the lead. Yeah, it was a fast track. The track variant was 6. Gets a 101 buyer. I don't pay attention to the buyers that much, but you don't need Andy Buyer or anybody to tell you that this horse ran fast. He's worked excellent since the race. He's got that patented Bob Baffert 111 and change. And when he ran this day, I said, you know what? I know Bob, and I didn't ask him. I could have asked him. I never asked him. But in my gut, I said, if this horse tells him he deserves a chance, he's going to run this horse back in the Arkansas Derby. And if he wins that and he's doing good after the race and he says, hey, I deserve a chance, he's going to run him back in the Kentucky Derby of 2 starts, which if he wins that, and yeah, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but that would be one of the greatest training feats in the history of the sport, bar none. Just an epic thing in a sport that's got well over 100-year history. So look out. I don't think they'll try and rate him. I think they'll just go. Should clear. It's got that long run down the stretch the first time into that first turn. So Jotty's got a chance to kind of not go too hard early, let him settle, then just let him use that natural speed into that first turn and cross over, stay in the 2 or 3 path unless the rail's golden and just kind of nurse that speed along. And, when Bob's horses are on the lead, they tend to just kick on. And when you engage them, they tend to fight. Might one of these more experienced horses come rolling down the stretch and run past him late because he's inexperienced? Yes. But I look at it like this. He's the fastest horse in the race. You can't beat what you can't catch. And if you're on the lead, Do you know whether you ran once, twice, 3, 4, 5, or 6 times? No. Bob's horses are not short. They're fit enough to get the distance, or he doesn't run them. So I think he's clear. I think he's a handful to catch. I think he's going to stamp his ticket to the Kentucky Derby. And if he does, I got to say, he's going to be on my Kentucky Derby radar, because you don't want to see Bob Baffert on the lead at Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May, like you did with Authentic, like you did with Medina Spirit, and other horses. Bodemeister ran a winning race on the lead. What do you go, 109 and change? Something ridiculous like that, maybe even faster. I don't remember, but forget about it. You know, fast horses. So Cornucopian, no pun intended, has a lot of resources to bring to the table. The right trainer, the right speed. He's an into mischief out of a distorted human mare. He's got the right blood flowing through his veins. No knocks yet on him. Now, Irad is not on him, and I believe the reason for that is Bob did not know that he was going to run in this race when Todd Pletcher knew he was going to run Disruptor in the Florida Derby. That's probably what happened. Irad, give the call over there. I'm not reading into that at all. Like I said, Shoemaker, Hill Rise, Northern Dancer, and there's a long list of others. So I bet what I think, and you know, that's that. So I think Cornucopian is a major threat to go wire to wire in the Arkansas Derby and stamp his ticket into the Kentucky Derby and be there off just 2 starts. And I mean, what a feat that would be, just to get there, whether or not he wins it. And if he wins it in his first race back, epic story. I think Bob deserves it. I think he put up with a long suspension, kept him out of the spot that he just dominates in. And, he's won enough derbies that we know he knows how to get one ready, and he knows the kind of horses that belong there. So Cornucopian, again, can't beat what you can't catch. I don't think he's going to realize that he's that lightly raced or hasn't run, as many times as these other ones when he's out there winging it on the lead, which I expect him to be. If they get cute and try and sit off somebody else, that changes everything, and I don't like that. Johnny does have a tendency to do that once in a while. Hopefully he doesn't, but we shall see. But if he goes right to the lead, I think he's a handful, and that's my opinion on the Arkansas Derby. So we'll see what happens. Should be an exciting race. And we'll be back in a minute, and we'll wrap up with the Florida Derby, which should be an equally as exciting race. So hang tight.
Hey, Sure Bet Coffee. Put that giddy up in your cup. That giddy up in your cup. Sure Bet Coffee. Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up.
The legend himself, Frankie Dettori. Ciao, Frankie. Tutto a posto.
Tutto a posto. Yes, that's a good start. So you haven't lost your Italian.
You're watching Past the Wire TV, presented by Am Wager.
Tracking trips at Past the Wire. There is no better time than now to join and ride with this clan. We'll be your second set of expert trained eyes. We ain't gonna buy you a fish. Sure, we'll give you some, but more importantly, we'll show you how to fish and make you a better. CAWs, sharks in the water, no problem. We'll go against anybody, and we have the track record to prove it. Big days, big pools, and select days all year long. We'll outplay them all. Looking for an ace? You're in the right place. Want to find that diamond? Be with us. Want to know more? Just ask a member or visit us at PastTheWire.com and check out the Tracking Trips page. Nobody does it better.
And here's Tama in the final stages. The Santa Anita Derby goes to Tama. It's Tama, absolutely terrific, winning Malibu by 4 widening lengths.
Remember, the older you get, the better you get. Unless you're a banana.
It's The Wire TV, your #1 source for horse racing news and interviews, handicapping analysis, betting insights, and more. Past the Wire TV covers the biggest races at the best tracks.
Garnet and Luis Saez to win the Belmonte Stakes at Saratoga.
The Grey Wizard is absolutely flying. Champagne won. The Grey Wizard. Oh, it's very close. Leave it to the judge.
Like, share, and subscribe to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.
Blood. That makes you related. Loyalty. That makes you family. All right, we're up to the Florida Derby, and I apologize. These shows always go a little bit longer than I would like them to go. That's because I probably talk too much. But if you listen faster, I will not have to slow down, so you all could catch up. So it should at the end work out and balance out nicely. And we got these great commercials. I know a lot of people don't like our commercials, but I gotta say I love them. I love the Spendthrift Farm Kentucky Derby commercial. I love our Tracking Trips commercials. I like Geo's commercial. I love the Pleasant Acres Stallions commercial. I love the Amwager commercial. I love the Formulator commercial. The Kentucky Derby Seminar commercial. Oh, that's a funny one. I'll tell you this real quick. So that went out on Twitter. And a bunch of my haters, and I got plenty of them. But I love my haters. Keep hating, keep knocking me, keep talking about it, because it sends people to the website and to the channel. So these people are actually hating me and helping me, but they're too stupid to know it, or they don't care. Call me all kinds of names, shit they would never say to my face. Oh, they're just a bunch of simps, but it doesn't matter. But they are knocking that video. Oh, who makes a video like this? Oh, a knife to a gunfight, or this and that. It's a theme. Then they're saying, oh, he created it with, what the hell did this idiot say? And the guy is truly a simp and disturbed for real. But, oh, man, he said something about, he's using stock-free footage. Just that. No. That's not how we do it. These are top shelf things, man. You judge for yourself. You don't like them, you don't like them. But I love them. It's a reflection of stuff I like. The Breeders' Cup ones were phenomenal. There's always little hints and things in there about little things that relate to me. So if you like them, you like them, and you ride with us, you'll never starve. We appreciate you. If not, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get YouTube mad at me. So anyway, moving to the Florida Derby, another exciting race, in my opinion. Little different reasons. The favorite, Sovereignty, who we know ran not quite as good as it looked because of that run-up last time, unfortunately loses Junior Alvarado. As of this recording, Tuesday morning, I don't know who's riding him. I've been kind of out of touch doing other things, taking care of the dogs, taking care of the rescues, handicapping a couple of races, and doing some other things, having my sure bet coffee. So I don't know who's riding him, if it's even been announced yet. Maybe Bill Mott doesn't even know who's riding him yet. But it ain't going to be Junior. He's hurt. So let's run down this field. I wish I was more creative here as well. I'm not landing on Sovereignty, who I liked last time, or Sovereignty. I can never say that name right. It's a mental block. I apologize. I should just call him S, but bear with me. Neo Equus from the rail by the exciting Pleasant Acres Stallion Neolithic. Set the pace and held tough in the Fountain of Youth. That's a lot slower pace than I imagine he's going to see come Saturday, so I don't think he'll be on the lead again, but maybe he will. We'll see. Or pressing. But Neolithic loses Irad, gets Edgar Zayas, who's riding very good, has the rail. Horse is really, other than the first start when he lost his rider, never run a bad race. I expect him to be in this C2 Racing stable. Lot of success. Safi Joseph, a lot of success. Tough to really knock, except I just don't know he's going to get the right winning trip. But other than that, I got to think he runs good, hangs around, makes his presence felt, and I'm going to call him a contender. I don't land on him for the win, but I'm definitely going to call him a contender. Cool Intentions. Coming off a layoff from January 4th. 2 for 4 lifetime with a second. 2 for 4 at Gulfstream with a second, so he's never run anywhere else. Goes 2 turns for the first time off the layoff. Jorge Delgado. I don't know. I say prove it. I'm not landing on him. He's going to have to get better. He does have those nice wins, but when they threw him to the really good, well, not even the really good ones, but to the big boys, he kind of got dusted. Now he comes back fresh. Did he go forward enough to contend here? Maybe, but I say prove it. Show me. Smoking Boy, I apologize. Looks a cut below these to me. Coming off 2 duds, would really have to turn it around to contend here. I don't see it. Disruptor, okay? If you remember, we were there on, what was it, Pegasus Day. We went out in the paddock. We looked at Disruptor. Everybody was out there to get a look at this horse. He was all the hype, all the rage. He went off 1 to 2, and you know what? He just didn't have it. He was clearing the stretch. Didn't look that good, but was clearing the stretch. Looked great in the paddock. Didn't look like all that in the stretch. And Jimmy's Dailies ran right by him like he had an anchor on him. However, sometimes they need that first race. He comes off that race, smokes him by 9. Very, very fast race. 22-2, 44-3, 109-3, 122-4. Now stretches out with Irad. Comes off Lasix. Dangerous. Dangerous. Good works leading into the race. Maybe he delivers on that hype. He's one of 2 that I think are the most likely winners. But I think I'm going to lean to the other one. Indecisiveness, to me, looks a cut below these. He'd have to prove it to me, stepping up. Jimmy Dailies, another one who I think is kind of on the fringes here. Loses Irad to the other horse. Not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. Did beat Disruptor in that maiden race. Had a few starts under the belt. But what kind of knocks me on him, he improved in those 2 LASIK starts, then kind of, you know, comes off it here. And I don't know if he's going to be as good not on LASIKs as he was on it. So I've got my reservations. Enter the Dragon goes for Jose D'Angelo, who's winning everything of late. Comes off the turf onto the main track. His one main track race was men's on men's at best, and I'm being generous. If he wins, it's an upset and a little bit of a head scratcher to me. Not impossible, got a lot of bottom, but I would have to see the race fall apart, and I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. Mattocket Road, Bob Baffert shipping in, riding Tyler Gaffleone, taking blinkers off a horse I originally thought had a lot of ability. I liked him in the Bob Lewis as the third Baffert, not even the other Baffert. Didn't do it. Frankie rode him hard. Last time out, pole battle, didn't do it. I just don't think he's this caliber at this point. I never let Bob surprise me. He would be a little surprised on the win here. I'm not going to use him, which is going to bring me to the horse that I kind of like the best, and that's Tappan Street with Luis Saez. Horse wins going 7/8, first time out, taking money against Multiverse, who comes out of the race and wins. I think last time out, although I don't think the Holy Bull was nearly as good as the Fountain of Youth, and these are better horses than he faced, and I'm not a fan of Burnham Square or Burnham Glory. I do think he just moved a little too soon and is sitting on another forward move. So I like him getting the jump on Sovereignty. Sovereignty maybe regressing a little bit off of that hard win back. And this one being a little tighter with that other route race under his belt. So I'm kind of going to land on Tappan Street. With the other one I got to watch is Disruptor, because if he clears, he becomes dangerous. And if he can sit, he becomes dangerous. He may deliver on that hype, but Tappan Street is going to be my top choice, I believe, in the Florida Derby. Sovereignty, who I liked last time, who is on my Derby radar, who I think is absolutely a Derby type horse, ran huge last time. But like I said, the race looks better than it really was because of that big run up. Race might have been closer to 1 mile and an eighth than 1 mile and a 16th. Negated the short stretch theory. Now has to come back, not regress with a different rider. I think he's also in that unique position of not having to win, not having to be gutted, just to get a good educational race and then try and peak on that first Saturday in May. And we know he's got that big race in the Street Sense over Churchill Downs. So he's a Derby radar horse. He's one to watch. He can certainly win on Saturday, but to bet him, no, I think I would likely more likely use Tappan Street and Disruptor. So that's how I see those races. And I think, you know, the interesting thing for me is going to be this question. You know, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fastest of them all? I think we're going to see 2 very fast horses on Saturday, one being Disruptor, one being Cornucopian. I think Cornucopian is faster. I'm not 1,000% sure of that. I'm maybe 975% sure of that, but that's not 100%. So we'll see. They're lightly raced. Disruptor definitely had a lot more hype than Cornucopian going into the race. But we'll see what happens on Saturday. 2 exciting races. Definitely look like either one can have some significant Derby implications. So that's that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Get your tickets to our reservation, to our Derby seminar. Thank you for all the support. We see all the ones that are supporting us. We see all the haters, too, unfortunately. People bring it to our attention, and they pop up on the radar. But like I said, we love the haters, too, because they help us. They hate us and they help us at the same time, and they're too much of Sims to know it. But that's all great. So thank you all. With that, enjoy the rest of your day. I will get out of your way, and we will see you soon with lots more coming up. So ciao for now.
Nobody does it better.